Hi, welcome to my capstone. My name is Audrey Barrett, and the theme that I have chosen for today is theories of learning and their roles in teaching. From this stems my competency statement, which is I am able to incorporate the power of play and imagination into the classroom to promote learning in new ways. From this, I have the question, what do we define as play in the classroom? Play in the classroom is any kind of engaging activity that gets the students to be intrinsically motivated. This can span from brain breaks to activities that are focused on the learning in the classroom. My second question was, how does play and imagination alter a student's learning versus a teacher-centered approach in the classroom? When asked this question, you have to think about how the students are learning and how their interest is put into the lesson. For my third question, I have, in what ways can we use our curriculum to promote positive and effective cognitive processes through play and imagination? For my first piece of evidence, I have my portfolio from my health and wellness course. In this course, we discuss many different kinds of research and topics that go along with how students need to be able to move in the classroom in order to have that blood flow so that they can really retain the knowledge that's being presented. So in this notebook, we have many trust builders, different kinds of movement that you can have in the classroom, structures, games, things that the students will love to do anytime that you see that body language that tells you they're really not paying much attention and that they're starting to lose their focus. It definitely helped to have these throughout my practicums and my student teaching because it gave me the opportunity to have something to use when I didn't see that kind of learning and see the kind of motivation that I wanted to have in my classroom. Anytime that I saw this, I was able to go into this notebook and pull out any kind of team builder, classroom builder, and throw it into my lesson. And I felt like that was very helpful for the students because it gave them the opportunity to play in almost every single one of my lessons and be creative and have collaboration in their lesson to feel more motivated in the lesson that I was teaching. My second piece of evidence was from my science methods course. We had to create a science lesson based off of a Nebraska state science standard. The standard that I chose was a third grade standard that focused on fossils, paleontology, and archaeology. We also had to incorporate what's called the 5 E's in this lesson plan. Those are engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. Using those 5 E's, I created a lesson that really got the students engaged, got them using their imagination. It was an activity that I gave them what I called as a plot of land. In that tray, I put sand with dirt and rocks and different kinds of materials in there, as well as different pieces of fossils. From legs to heads to spines and tails, everything was buried within. As they searched through the plot of land, they used different kinds of tools like paintbrushes, magnifying glasses, and other tools such as this one here to really dig deep and see what was in the sand. Once they found each of the pieces, as a scientific team, they worked together on their fossil findings journal, which asked them the questions: which dinosaur skeleton looks most like the fossils you found? Which tells you this is the same type of dinosaur, so they had to discuss the features of that dinosaur. And once they found those answers, we discussed what the correct answer was, which was a Tyrannosaurus rex. They, from there, were asked to complete whether it was correct or not. If they were correct, they circle yes. If they were wrong, they circle no. The teams that then had it correct met with the teams that had it incorrect so that they could discuss their hypothesis and why it was correct or why they got it incorrect. It was this kind of exploration that got the students to be very engaged, and it got the students very excited about what they were learning. In fact, I heard many students, each time that they found another fossil, they would shout out to their team, "I've got one, I found one!" And it really gave them the opportunity to imagine themselves in the position of a real archaeologist or a real paleontologist who goes in and finds those kinds of fossils. Without even thinking that they were learning anything in the process. Next, I have my strongest piece of evidence, which comes from my student teaching. During my student teaching, I created an escape room that had a math review. for it. And this was based off of a unit that I had taught to the students. It was over surface area, area of polygons, circumference, and volume, all sorts of things that kind of go within that unit. I took their test and the questions that were going to be on their test, and I incorporated them into a multi-step escape room. The first step that they completed was putting puzzle pieces together. For these puzzle pieces, it then created a document that had them write formulas in the area of each of those polygons. When they found the area of those polygons, they used the final digit of each of those polygons and the area of that polygon to unlock a lock. When they completed that, they were able to unlock a lock that opened a box, that within that box was different pieces to a puzzle. These pieces each had a different piece of the formulas that they were required to memorize for this test. And once they put them in order, in the correct order as given to them to memorize, the clues read across clue, check underneath the table. When they checked underneath the table, they found an envelope that included a decoder list that had numbers assigned to letters, instructions, as well as 4 more volume and area problems. For these area problems, once they found them, they were each 3-digit numbers. When you connect the digits with the letters, it instructs them to ask the teacher. In this step, I thought it was really important for the students to check with the teacher, which is why I had the clue instruct them to come and check with the teacher. When they checked with me, I was able to give them feedback on how they had been doing, teach them different parts of the formula that they may not have understood, double check their work until I gave them the next sheet of the last step of the escape room. On this sheet, they have composite figures, both front and back, each assigned a letter. Once they find the area of these composite figures, they were to put them in least to greatest. With the least to greatest, that gave them the letters code to escape the room. I had taped up a ABCD coder on the door, and they were to come up, press the correct buttons, and if they were correct, they could escape the room. Once they exited to the hallway, they took pictures with different kinds of props that I had prepared and given to them to kind of prove that they had completed the review and prove to themselves that they had done a good job. It was important to them that they completed it because they all wanted to complete those steps and show that they had motivation for completing the review. I definitely feel that this was a wonderful type of play to have in the classroom, because the students showed through their math tests that 10% more of the students were getting higher grades, both B pluses and A's on those exams. When asked why they had completed it and why they had done a good job, they each responded that it was because of the escape room, and it was because they felt like they could ask questions and they could ask about why they had completed or why they had gotten a certain answer to the teacher as well as their teammates. This would not have been given to them on a regular review day. Lots of the other reviews had been very teacher-centered, and that didn't give them the opportunity to feel comfortable asking questions, as well as it didn't give them the intrinsic motivation that we had been hoping for. As for my synthesis and reasoning, I found that creative thinking really does require the collaboration of the imagination and thinking in concepts. This is proven by a lot of research that we have gone through throughout my time in the Teachers College. It really shows that through cognitive and affective processes, children are able to understand their classroom on a deeper level. They're able to take the learning that they have and place it into the real world and put it into real situations. With that, they have a final endpoint that they want to work towards. They want to work towards improving, and they want to seek out further learning opportunities, including things like higher education and job opportunities in the future, giving them a stronger adulthood based off of the classroom that they were provided that has play and imagination in it. I also found that with this play, they begin to see students feel much more intrinsically motivated than extrinsically motivated. When a student is extrinsically motivated, they oftentimes come to class in order to get a reward. They come to class in order to please a teacher. But when they have play, when they think that they're out on the playground during their class time, they prefer to reach a common goal for themselves rather than for someone else or something on the external part of their life. This is definitely something that I want to put in my classrooms. I will be teaching a third grade classroom this coming fall, and I definitely want to incorporate things like my fossil findings, and I want to incorporate brain breaks. I want to incorporate lots of movement and play and activity so the students really do feel like they're having a fun time in the classroom while learning the curriculum that's provided for me. I feel like there are lots of ways to do this, whether it's through song or through games that I come up with. But it's definitely very easy for students to get distracted. But if they continually play, then they don't really have that distraction. They continue to be engaged and they continue to be motivated. I feel that from this, I understand the importance of play and imagination. As a reflection, I feel that having play and imagination in the classroom truly does foster cognitive and effective processes. I feel my most difficult challenge with incorporating play is being able to scaffold it for a diverse set of learners. When you're able to scaffold, you're able to think about how each student plays, whether that be that they have disabilities, language barriers. There's all sorts of things that can change the way that you present play in the classroom. For my escape room, I did present this both to a regular math class as well as a differentiated math class. And the difference was when they came to ask the teacher on that step, I instead gave them another worksheet that included a maze they had to complete, getting the right answers to lead them to the final worksheet that gave them the exit code. By incorporating those extra problems, it took the diff class the same amount of time as the regular ed students to complete the escape room. So it's just really thinking about those individual education plans, thinking about the modifications you have in the classroom, and being able to know how to structure it so that the students feel comfortable and so that the students are put to a challenge that they can take on. If I ever do have troubles coming to this kind of achievement in my classroom, I can always go to my colleagues, I can always go to fellow teachers and ask them for suggestions, ideas on what they have to incorporate play and imagination. As well as I can really seek out new kinds of experiences for those students by experiencing them myself, going to conferences, going and seeking new things for the classroom. I feel that from this, I have found lots of solutions and lots of abilities for the students in the classroom, and I would love to see this kind of development in my future classrooms made by the foundation of play and imagination. Thank you.